The bass, drums, and guitars are all ringing in my ears. And even though the noise is deafening, I can hear that I'm actually hitting the notes, the right notes. But it's odd, even though my throat feels tight, nothing actually hurts. And rather than feeling like my voice is about to give out, I feel like I could sing like this for hours. To think that it all started by writing those simple words on my wall. Ooh, let's go! When I was a teenager, all my favorite bands were punk rock bands, and they all sang really high. But that was a huge problem for me because anytime I would sing up to those notes, my voice would strain, and it would break, and it would crack. Everything has fallen to pieces. Earth is dying. Help me, Jesus. Even though I'm practicing in my basement alone, I feel completely embarrassed and inadequate, like I was born without this high note gene or something. I mean, here are guys that can barely play their instruments, and yet they're hitting notes that sound like they're in the stratosphere. At first, I try to sing along with these songs, but besides a whisper, I'm never able to hit these notes at full volume. It's always easier to sing a note at a lower volume because you're using less of the muscle in your throat to actually hit them. So my buddy shows me a CD from a band that he really loves. But until this point, I stayed a lot closer to the more innocent sounding side of punk rock bands like your Blink-182, Green Day, for instance, because they sang about stuff like love and teenage angst. But NoFX was dangerous. They sang about drugs, anarchy, and the scum of society. Fat Mike has this raspy, kind of bratty nasal voice that cuts through every note like a buzzsaw. Don't call me white! Don't call me white! And if they sang about scary stuff, they actually sounded twice as scary. But of course, because I'm a teenager, I was in love with them immediately. What seemed so dangerous a week before is now just my new favorite band. But the challenge was that NoFX also sang really, really high notes. So when I wanted to sing Murder the Government or Don't Call Me White, I knew that my voice was gonna sound horrible. But then when my buddy Brian invites me over to come jam, my excitement about playing with anyone, for the moment, kind of overcomes my anxiety about totally embarrassing myself. Feeling even more nervous now, Brian starts to count in the song. I prepare myself with my best Fat Mike impression, really mustering up all the nasality and brattiness and raspiness that I can possibly muster. But I know that as soon as I start singing, my voice is gonna break, and Brian is gonna completely overwhelm me with the power of his drums and the amps. That's when it happens. All of a sudden, with power and presence, I can actually hear the first words of the song. But no breaks are coming from my throat. The drums, the guitar, the bass, everything is ringing in my ears, and the sound is just absolutely deafening. But I can actually hear that I'm singing the notes, the right notes. Don't call me white. Don't call me white. Don't call. It's odd, even though my voice feels tight, nothing actually hurts. But I have no idea what's happening. All I know is that something is happening and it's very good. My voice hangs in there for song after song for the entire session. I get home after jamming that night and I print out the lyrics. And on the lyric page, I write down in permanent marker what feels like a mission statement. Directly on the lyrics, I write down the magic words, "Find Fat Mike voice." It wasn't until years later that I found out that I accidentally stumbled on the right way to hit higher notes in your voice. That bratty nasal sound that I was channeling actually tricked my voice into doing something that I thought was impossible, hitting high notes with power. For a singer, hitting high notes with power is one of the biggest problems that you're going to face. Have you struggled with how to hit high notes? If so, I want to know what exercises worked for you. Leave a comment below letting me know how you first found out that you actually could hit high notes.